Discutăm în continuare despre o țară fericită. Agresiunea rusă împotriva Ucrainei ne-a convins că trebuie să intrăm în NATO. Este explicația dată de ambasadorul acestei țări, este vorba de Republica Finlandă, iar ambasadorul Finlandei în România a oferit un interviu pentru Euronews România și vorbește despre faptul că Finlanda este o țară cu serviciul militar obligatoriu care a căutat prieteni și aliați într-o situație de război. Cu toate aceste pericole de care se apără, rămâne a fi cea mai fericită țară din lume. Asta pentru că are și cel mai bun sistem educațional din lume. Să vedem ce spune ambasadoarea Finlandei în România într-un interviu pentru Euronews România.
Your Excellency, thank you very much for being with us today at Euronews Romania.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Happy to be here.
Yes, the big thing, the big moment of Finland in this moment was that Finland insists to join NATO. Why?
Well, I'd say that the biggest thing for us was the Russian aggression against Ukraine, because I think that the security situation in Europe changed completely on the 24th of February 22. And we who have, unfortunately, historic knowledge of what happens when Russian troops attack, we felt very strongly about that. And those people who were not so eager, let's say, beforehand to join NATO, they were the majority of Finns, quickly changed their minds. And that's why the process was very quick, actually.
It was yes. Some people from Finland that weren't aware, they didn't want to go to NATO to join NATO. Why?
They weren't too happy about it. They thought that we will be okay by ourselves, basically. But and how should I put it? We had very good relations in several fields with Russians, good and tight cooperation. And now it's all gone. And we thought that, you know, this aggression against Ukraine showed that, seriously, things have changed and we cannot continue as it was and as we wanted it to continue. So, therefore, the majority of the people, you know, switched their opinion and decided to support a membership in NATO.
And this opinion was switching because of fear that Russia could invade Finland too, or why?
I'm not sure if it's fear, because we've always taken very good care of our defense. You know that we have mandatory military service for young men, and our army is and our military is in very good condition. But I think it was the understanding that bad things do happen and it's better to be having friends and allies, you know, people to help you, countries to help you. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the thing that changed the minds of many, how Russia turned out to be aggressive after all.
What changed after Finland joined NATO?
What's changed, of course, that we are now belonging to an alliance that we naturally belong to, because, you know, we had been in Partnership for Peace. We have been partners for a long, long time. I think it was from the 90s already. So we had cooperated in a lot of theaters as well. But now we are protected by Article 5. I think that's the big thing for us. On the other hand, there are still a lot of things that we are still in a learning process after 1 year. There are a lot of things we still need to do and develop and how to learn to cooperate fully as a full member in the alliance. I think that is something that we are now currently doing very much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did Russia oppose to the joining Finland of joining NATO?
Yes.
It was a big opponent from Russia that came to this process.
Well,
how did you deal with that?
Yeah, well, we simply have said very clearly that you know, it was the decision that we felt that we had to make, taking into account our own security and how to, like our president then said, President Niinistö, to maximize the security of the country. And so we could say that maybe Russia thought that they could sort of scare us with this aggression against Ukraine, not to become closer to NATO, but it happened the other way around. People decided that no way, we are not going to be left alone. We want to join the allies that we already find are good partners for us.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and after the war began, after the invasion, you closed all the border points between Russia and Finland. Why?
Not immediately after that. I mean, we had, you remember, we had the pandemic and we had restrictions first, and then we opened the borders. But what happened was that one of the things that how Russia reacted to the membership of Finland in NATO was that they started to use asylum seekers as an instrument to trying to destabilize the country. I mean, the numbers weren't that great, actually, but just the phenomenon that we had information that Russian authorities were pushing third country nationals across the border. You know, the land border that we have with Russia is 1,300 kilometers long.
And do you have information about these asylum seekers?
Yes, we interviewed them, of course, but also there was intelligence information that contributed to that.
What showed this information?
It showed that let's say that official Russia was involved in this kind of hostile operation, so to speak. So the numbers weren't big, but the idea that you use people, you know, of third country nationals and push them across the border so that they could seek asylum. And of course, there's a possibility that there are lots of people, you know, on the other side of the border. There are lots of non-Russians living in Russia that have been working perhaps there or so. So that is the reason why the border is now closed, apart from very little cargo that's going through that is not under the sanctions regime.
Are people from Finland afraid of Russia? I'm asking you this because of war that were before the World War II.
Yes.
And we know what's happening to Finland. It was a big war between Finland and the Soviet Union.
Yes, yeah. No, I don't think we are afraid. Actually, we have always kept our army and our military in very good condition, like I said.
Because of Russia?
Well, now we can say because of Russia.
Okay.
We've, even though we always developed a good cooperation in many fields, let's say environmental issues and that sort of thing. But let's say we are not afraid, but we are, let's say, wary. We just look what's going on and taking care of our own defense and our own security as much as possible.
And what will be your advice for Romania? Because we have no border to Russia.
No, we don't.
But it's a big thing in Romania. You know, we are speaking about if we will have a border. What Romania should do, what Romania should understand about being having a border with such a neighbor?
Well, let's not go into that because I don't think that's going to happen. So I very much admire what Ukraine has been doing and defending actually all our values. And of course, we have the Republic of Moldova there as well. The thing is that I think Romania has been very much, I mean, today we celebrated the 20 years of Romania in NATO. Wonderful and congratulations. I mean, you are an experienced ally already. And you've been doing wonderfully well, especially the Black Sea area, which is of strategic importance to the whole alliance. So I think you are doing splendidly well, and I don't think I have any advice for you in that regard. I'm sure you're doing wonderfully well.
There is any parallel, there is anything in common between what's happening in a war between Soviet Union or Russian Federation and Finland, and what is happening right now between Ukraine and Russia? Do you think something is in common in these two wars?
Yeah. Well, what I was thinking actually at first is this general feeling that you unprovoked, you were, attacked by your neighbor from the east. A neighbor that you try to, work closely together with. and then they suddenly started aggression against you. So I think that is the feeling that I think a lot of Finns have, who have either parents or grandparents who lived through the war. So we feel very strongly, and we feel very strongly for the Ukrainians, and that's why we've been so active in supporting them both militarily and financial aid and development aid as well. We have some of course refugees as well, not that much as in many other countries, but yes, we have Ukrainian refugees as well.
And you said about families that have people that was involved in this war between the Soviet Union and Finland. I'm interested in your personal history.
Yes.
Do you have some in your family that?
Yes. My father, who was quite much older than my mother, was a soldier in the actually he was his birthday when the Winter War broke out, because he was born on the 30th of November.
And what was
809? And then my mother was from Karelia, a young girl then, and she had to leave twice her home there, because of the war. And we lost 12% of our territory as a result of these wars.
Yeah. Also, I would like to ask you about the thing that we could learn still from Finland. It's about the educational system.
Okay.
We saw is one of the most effective education system in the world, or the most effective education in the world. How you manage to do that, and what will be things that we could learn from Finnish schools?
Yeah. Well, education is a thing that people think is of utmost importance to a country. And if you remember that there was recently this poll that said that about happiness, how happy countries are. And for the 7th time running, Finland was number 1.
Yeah.
And our President Stubb was asked what are the reasons for that. So he's famous for his 3 points. So his 3 points were nature, trust and education. So education system seems to be working pretty well. The nearest school to a child usually is the best school for him or her. The schools are of equally good level, I'd say.
You have been in schools in Romania.
Yes,
one thing,
visited.
Not 3. One thing that you would be changed here for our schools?
Oh, but that's so difficult to say because it depends on so much. I'd say there's one common challenge that we have.
Please.
And that's something that maybe you have the answer to this. But how to make children read more books and text, because they are just hooked on their mobile phones and they don't read books. That means that their vocabulary is not developing. They will have problems in their studies later on. So if you have an answer for that, we'd be very grateful.
I'm a father, so it's a big question for me too. And if is something that Romanian school could adapt and take from Finland school.
Yeah.
There is something, just one thing.
Well, one thing I'd say that it would be the respect for teachers as professionals, because, traditionally and historically in villages, teachers were very much respected, as was the pastor and the judge and then the teacher of the community. They were sort of the upper crust of the village, and so there was a big respect for educators. And you know that the teachers, they have to have also for kindergarten, if they are qualified ones, they need to have a university degree.
And this respect, do they get in Finland?
I think they do. Yes, they still do. Yes.
Okay, so maybe this is the reason that Finland has the biggest and the most effective educational system in the world.
Well, I think it's one of the things that are, and that the people think that education is very, very important for everybody.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your lessons for our schools and also lessons for history. And it was a very enjoyable and lovely interview. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.